Trojan sends out Bulbasuar, the opponent respond with Registeel. Pokemon Go's version of David versus Goliath. Who will prevail? Bulbasuar farms up, fires off the Power Whip, getting Registeel down below half health. Despite Bulbasuar being below 1300 combat power, we tank the Zap Cannon. We're then looking to farm up to the back-to-back Power Whips. Registeel will be getting low with the first Power Whip. The opponent let it go. Bulbasuar outpaces the Power Whip. Number 2, and it's going to be David 1, Goliath 0. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an incredible showcase for you all. My friend Trojanpickle is showcasing his perfect 100% IV. That's 15 attack, 15 defense, 15 HP Shadow Bulbasuar, maxed out all the way to level 50, then equipped as its best buddy, pushing it all the way to 51 in the Open Great League. If that's not enough to whet your appetite, we're also going to be taking a look at one of Season 16's buffed Pokemon, Palossand, which now has access to Scorching Sands. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in Game 1, we led Dewgong into Escavalier. Trojan instantly pivoted into his little sandcastle, probably anticipating the opponent being on counter. They're actually running Bug Bite. If you're going to run Escav, don't run Bug Bite. The opponent now pivot into Executor. We go straight for the Shadow Ball. The opponent shows no respect. They get one shot. The opponent now putting all their hopes and dreams on the back of Snorlax, wearing a very silly hat. Trojan sends out Dewgong. The opponent going to go straight for a body slam. Dewgong, super bulky, did not respect shit. We then farm up, throw the Icy Wind, looking to lower Snorlax's attack. The opponent commits their first Protect Shield. Trojan just using Dewgong as the damage sponge. We then see their pivot into Bulbasuar. Bulbasuar now looking primed to sweep in game number 1. Bulbasuar pretty glassy, being sub 1300 CP. However, do not let that combat power deceive you. Shadow Bulbasuar still hits like a truck. The Power Whip secures the knockout. Back out comes Escavalier. Trojan fires off the next Power Whip, forcing the final Protect Shield. Escavalier running out of HP. Trojan shields up the Drill Run, and we resisted Vine Whip farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we see Dewgong into Gardevoir. Gardevoir now has the ability to buff its own oppressive charm damage with the Triple Axle. The opponent farms up some energy, catch the Icy Wind onto Aerodactyl. A very questionable play as Aerodactyl straight in and straight out. The opponent's final Pokemon is Aggron, so it kind of makes sense why the opponent completely sacked that Aerodactyl. They've got some kind of strange double rock hole team. Trojan now pivot out into Palossand and then force the final Protect Shield with the Scorching Sands. We allow the Heavy Slam to land. Doesn't do too much damage. Palossand still not done. Makes Scorching Sand number 2. Securing the knockout on Aggron. Back out comes Gardevoir. They commit to the full Charm Down, Farm Down. However, Gardevoir going to be so sad when it sees our small and mighty Bulbasaur. We actually make a savage catch, putting the stamp of authority on this battle. The Psychic takes us out. Back out comes Bulbasaur. We reach the Sludge Bomb, but opt to throw the Power Whip, and that's going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next battle, we see Dewgong into Galarian Stunfisk. A pretty neutral matchup, as last season Dewgong did get access to Drill Run, which lands for decent super effective damage. Even the Ice type attacks are neutral. We see Trojan opt to throw the Icy Wind first, lowering Stunfisk's attack. Trojan then farms up, attempts to catch the Rock Slide onto his Sandcastle. No such luck. However, we do manage to draw out a Trevenant, which is great because our Bulbasaur really doesn't want to see it. We force a Protect Shield with the Shadow Ball. Trojan elects to let the Sandcastle go down. We can now send back out Dewgong, get rid of this Trevenant Hope. Bulbasaur's primed to sweep. We go straight for the Icy Wind. Icy Wind goes unshielded. It doesn't quite knock out. With the lowered attack, we are going to be able to survive the Seed Bomb. The opponent gets the farm down. However, Bulbasaur comes in, gets a running start. The opponent's then back out Stunfisk, and Trojan really needs to start shielding. We shield up the Rock Slide. The very annoying Bear Trap looking Pokemon Stunfisk going to be able to outpace us to Rock Slide number 2. Bulbasaur tanks it on the chin, and the opponent's final Pokemon is Alteria. We land the Sludge Bomb, which lands for decent neutral damage. We get Dragon Breath farm down and unfortunately take a loss. Yikes, Hitmonchan in the lead. Usually not particularly good for Dewgong. This opponent actually running Bullet Punch. It wasn't a bad matchup. However, Trojan pivoted into his Sandcastle, and he is running an ABB team with double weak to Ice in the back. So you want to pivot always, look to draw out a counter, come back in, take it out with Dewgong, allowing Bulbasaur the best opportunity at sweeping. Palossand forced a Protect Shield and took Switch. The opponent now send in Rapidash, and Palossand reaches yet another Scorching Sand, forcing the final Protect Shield. The opponent then snipe with Glaceon. We can send back in Dewgong. The battle of the ice types, Dugong most certainly would prevail. Trojan again chooses to catch the avalanche onto Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur uses the third shield, despite him spending over 600,000 Stardust on it. Dugong going to have more than enough in the tank to clean up this battle, and we're easily going to be able to 2-shield flex on the opponent. Dugong commits to the full Ice Shard farm down, back out. Comes Rapidash, we fire off the Drill Run. Drill Run doesn't quite knock out. However, 2 more Ice Shards is enough to take that game. In the next battle, we see yet another Galarian Stunfisk. New season, same basic meta. People love this stupid bear trap. The opponent fires off the Rock Slide, then look to make a catch onto Obstagoon. Trojan holds his energy and sends out Bulbasaur. The opponent fires off the Night Slash. We see no boost. Bulbasaur now farms up, fires off the Power Whip. Even these Vine Whips really chunking. We force a Protect Shield. The opponent looks for the aggressive counter farm down. Bulbasaur says no, fires off Power Whip number 2, and Bulbasaur not only took shield advantage, we took switch as well. Holy smokes. This now allows Trojan the opportunity to realign his Pokemon. We now see the Sandcastle into the Bear Trap. The opponent then looked to catch the Scorching Sand onto the Fly-In Toilet. No such luck. Trojan showing great discipline so far in this showcase. We land the Icy Wind. Dugong throws Icy Wind number 2, getting the Fly-In Toilet low. The opponent needs the Hurricane to take us out. They throw the Weather Ball. Trojan showed no respect. The Fly-In Toilet now going to dump the remainder of the energy. The second Weather Ball still not lethal. In comes Palossand. We get the resisted. Mud Shot farm down, back out. Comes Stunfisk, and Stunfisk is going to be met with the wrath of our Sandcastle. The first Scorching Sands forces the final Protect Shield, and the second one is enough to take that game. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Dugong into Empoleon. Our Ice Shards are double resisted due to the Steel Penguin's Water Steel typing. Our bulky Sea Lion also resists the Waterfalls. However, with the ability to land huge super effective damage, we land the Drill Run, then fire off the double resisted Icy Wind. Icy Wind doesn't secure the knockout. However, now we should survive any one move. The opponent fires off the Hydro Cannon. We get the farm down. The opponent send in Talonflame. They look for the aggressive Incinerate farm down. Dugong still not done. Fires off the Icy Wind, lowering Talonflame's attack. The opponent now at potential Brave Bird. Last second, we commit a shield, get baited with the Flame Charge. The opponent then fire off Flame Charge number 2. It doesn't do too much damage. Then the opponent switch out into a Mud Shot Poliwrath. Poliwrath running Mud Shot going to be so spammy to these Ice Punches. The first one lands for huge damage. Trojan reaches the Power Whip, elects not to throw, and I think that could cost us. So we really need to start getting some shields off the opponent. Let's see if Trojan pulls this off. We throw the Scorching Sand, finally forcing the first Protect Shield. The opponent at least an Ice Punch. The opponent actually full send the Scald, giving us a chance. We look to farm up to the back-to-back Scorching Sands, and the opponent make a savage catch. Catching the Scorching Sands onto Talonflame. We get the farm down. The opponent had the move banked. They throw the Scald and pull off a very impressive dub. Well played to that opponent. In the next battle, we see 2 very bulky Pokemon, Dugong versus Umbreon. And it's at times like this I'm very grateful that I shoutcast at 2.2 speed. Well, actually, I normally shoutcast at 2 speed. However, as we've got 3 sets, I'm doing it at 2.2. And with a matchup like this on the screen, I'm very grateful because it's going to be very long, very boring, and very drawn out. Umbreon, even at the best of times, hits like an absolute wet noodle. And to add insult to injury, we're just going to continually lower Umbreon's already non-existent attack stat. That foul play did essentially absolutely nothing. Trojan then farms up, fires off the Icy Wind on the CMP tie, forcing the first protection off the opponent. I think now this foul play won't even be lethal. Dugong does survive. Can we get the Ice Shard farm down? No, Umbreon actually snarls us down. However, we can send in Bulbasaur. Despite being super glassy, this foul play is going to do nothing as his 3 stages debuffed. The opponent then send out Mr. Potato Head, aka Proboplast, and Bulbasaur gonna fire off the Power Whip, which lands for decent neutral damage against Proboplast's Rock Steel typing. The opponent fires off the Rock Slide. Trojan invests his first Protect Shield. He then farms up, fires off Power Whip. Number 2, Mr. Potato Head, invest the Protect Shield and then stay in school, kids, learn to count. We see a savage catch of the Rock Slide onto Palossand, and the opponent respond with Azumarill. Azumarill gonna eat a Shadow Ball to the face. Shadow Ball lands for decent neutral damage. We see the instant no-shield from Trojan as he's looking to close out this game with Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur comes in. We've just got to farm up to the back-to-back Power Whips. We can easily shield up this Ice Beam Can we Vine Whip farm down? It looks like we're going to reach the double Power Whip first. So this Power Whip going to take care of the mighty blue mouse. Back out comes Potato Head. And Bulbasaur says you can have a Power Whip as well. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Dewgong into everyone's favourite tin can. Trojan stays in, farms up some energy. We actually make another savage catch, catching a potential Zap Cannon onto Palossand. What a play. The opponent now sends out the oppressive Shadow Charizard. However, Palossand so spammy, already at the Shadow Ball, forcing an early Protect Shield. The opponent then gets super greedy, allowing the Sandcastle to make the single resisted Scorching Sands, and my god, that does a lot of damage. Shadow Charizard, so glassy. Trojan has already got this thing down below half health, and he's going to be very grateful to see it on the battlefield now, so Bulbasaur doesn't have to see it. We send out Dewgong, shield up the Blast Burn, we then throw one Ice Shard and the Icy Wind for optimal fast move timing. We get the knockout. The opponent send out Medicham. We pivot out into Bulbasaur, and we now get to see David versus Goliath. Who will prevail? Bulbasaur farms up, fires off the Power Whip. That Power Whip did a lot of resisted damage. We see the instant no shield deployed. Bulbasaur tanks the resisted Zap Cannon like an absolute boss. Bulbasaur still not done, fires off Power Whip number 2, getting this tin can deep in the red. Bulbasaur makes the third Power Whip. This is either going to force the final shield or secure the knockout. It does get the knockout. The opponent send back out Medicham. We pivot back out into Dewgong, fire off the Icy Wind, lowering Medicham's attack. Trojan still has one Protect Shield remaining. We call the Psychic. The opponent bait us with an Ice Punch. Ouch, what an absolute savage. And the opponent also killed an innocent cat, as every time you masturbate, a cat dies. The opponent now at the Psychic. Psychic will be securing the knockout. Can we reach the Power Whip? No, heartbreakingly we're going to take a loss. However, very well played regardless. Moving on to the next battle. Dewgong into Tentacle, another matchup where that Drill Run is going to come in clutch. The opponent doesn't build up to the Sludge Wave, so an easy no-shield. The opponent fires off the Skull. Dewgong shrugs off the damage and returns fire with the Drill Run. Drill Run gets Tentacruel down into the red. Trojan now going for a cheeky masturbating session of his own, and the opponent invests that Protect Shield. As with lower Tentacruel's attack, we're going to easily survive the Skull, but can we survive the Poison Jabs and make one more move? My god, is this sea line thick. Holy crap. Dewgong not only wins lead, but takes shield advantage. The opponent send in Charm Whimsicott, and here comes Bulbasaur. The opponent farms up, attempt to catch the Sludge Bomb onto Skarmory. Trojan says, not today, trainer. He responds with a Sandcastle, fires off the Shadow Ball on the CMP tie, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. We shield up the Sky attack. Trojan's just got to throw the Shadow Ball at disciplined timing, so that's 1, 4 or 7 when using 2 turn versus 3 turn. The next Shadow Ball rocks Skarmory deep into the red. Trojan with 1 Protect Shield remaining, opting to save it for Bulbasaur. We send back out Bulbasaur. This resisted Power Whip should be enough to secure the knockout, which it does. Back out comes Whimsicott, and Whimsicott can eat the Sludge Bomb to the face, get absolutely wrecked, and we get the screenshot for the road. GG's and thanks for playing. Dewgong into Talonflame, the Pokemon I like to call the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. The opponent throw their charge with immediately, giving us an entire free Ice Shard. We call this just a Flame Charge, and it is. We then throw 1 Ice Shard and the Icy Wind. So the best fast move time would have actually been to throw 3 Ice Shards, only allowing 1 free turn. However, when you throw 1 versus 1, using 3 turn versus 5 turn, you give away 2 free turns, which isn't the worst, to be honest. But if you want to throw optimally, you ideally want to throw 3. That'd be 9 turns versus 10 turns. That's today's school lesson. Let's get back into the commentary. We get both Protect Shields, send out Palossand, and the opponent pivot into Swampert. Here comes Bulbasaur. We correctly shield up the Earthquake. This should allow Bulbasaur to get the full Vine Whip farm down. Back out comes Talonflame. Talonflame going to get vanquished. Back to their Pokeball with the Sludge Bomb. The opponent's final Pokemon is Gligar, and Bulbasaur still not done. Fires off the neutral Power Whip. Can we reach Power Whip number 2? Yes, we can. And Bulbasaur pulls off a fucking incredible sweep. Let's go. Trojan's 600,000 Stardust investment not looking that bad. In the next battle, we see another Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. This time, Trojan's the one that throws on alignment. However, Ho-Oh didn't respect the Icy Wind and are now already deep in the red. The opponent running Legacy Earthquake. Holy smokes. We managed to 1 shield farm all the way down, and the opponent now send out Aggron. Dewgong fires off the Drill Run, getting our shield back. Dugong still not done, makes another drill run. This should force the final Protect Shield. The opponent actually let it go, opting to save a shield for Lapras, and Lapras is going to be so sad as out comes Bulbasaur. Is Trojan going to call the Surf Bait? Last second we commit a shield and the opponent sends the Blizzard. Fucking hell, I was not ready for that. Bulbasaur now at the back-to-back Power Whips. The first one forces the final shield and the second one secures the knockout. Water Gun Blizzard, what have I just seen? Oh man, I'm in shambles. Getting back into the commentary. Dugong into Pelipper. The opponent goes straight for a Weather Ball, which definitely isn't the correct play. They then pivot out into Skarmory. I suppose we're just going to stay in as this is probably our Skarmory counter. We fire off the first Icy Wind, forcing a Protect Shield. We then look to throw the second on the CMP type. We didn't win CMP, so we don't manage to debuff them the second time before taking the damage, but the bulky Sea Lion doesn't care as we're so thick. Dugong going on an absolute rampage, firing off yet another Icy Wind. The opponent needs to throw. Trainer, you need to throw. Holy crap, the opponent double shields and lose switch. These early ranked battles are really the Wild West. They're super hard to commentate as people just make some really unpredictable plays which often aren't optimal. It looks like the opponent attempted to catch a Shadow Ball onto the big tin can. Trojan sends out Bulbasaur as we really don't want to take the wing attack damage from Pelipper. We can just spam out Power Whip after Power Whip. We just need to save our shields for the Sandcastle and this is going to be a big fat G to the G. Bulbasaur's got Registeel down into the red. We've still got 2 Protect Shields, too high behind. Trojan comes in, farms up, throws the Scorching Sand before the opponent can potentially lower our attack with a Zap Cannon. Scorching Sands does secure the knockout. Back out comes Pelipper. We don't even shield up the super effective Weather Ball. Trojan saving as many shields as possible for next season. And that probably isn't the worst idea ever as this game is still broken and Niantic never like to fix it. All they like to do is send fucking silly Pikachus in a hat in specialist events. However, don't even get me started on that. Moving on to the next one. Dugong into Swampert. Dugong going to be able to outpace Swampert by a single turn to the potential Earthquake. We land the Icy Wind. The opponent full sends the Earthquake. We shrug off the damage. The opponent then go for a Hydro Cannon, an easy tank for Dugong. The opponent actually running Surf. Surf and Hydro Cannon cost the same energy, so you definitely want to Elite TM your Swampert to Hydro Cannon as that is what makes it the GOAT. We win lead, the opponent send out the Bear Trap, we fire off the Drill Run, forcing a protection, and the opponent opt to dump energy. Best case scenario for us. Dugong has done its job. Trojan can now send out the Sandcastle. Is this just a rock slide? Trojan instantly clicks no shield. I think the opponent didn't even build up to this. Is 2.2 speed, so it is often hard to count, but that definitely felt too quick. Either way, we shrug off the damage, fire off the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands near one shots. Again, I believe this is just a rock slide, which it is. The opponent double weak to ground in the back, and the Sandcastle about to have some fun. Registeel doesn't shield the first Scorching Sands. The Sandcastle says, fuck you, Tin Can, give me that shield. The opponent does oblige, putting up a shield. Trojan opting not to shield up the Sandcastle. Zap Cannon doesn't take us out. We then see the pivot into Bulbasaur, and the opponent concede the match. Moving on to the next one, Dugong into Emolga. We're both hitting each other for super effective. We opt to shield the first move as it would do the most damage. We shield up the Discharge, throw one Ice Shard and the Icy Wind for optimal fast move time, and the opponent completely sack Emolga and then send out Galarian Zapdos. What a cool pick. Trojan opts to save Dugong. We pivot into Palossand and the opponent responds with Charm Aromaties. Palossand looks reasonably bulky to be honest, so we're tanking these charms fairly well. We fire a Scorching Sands. Number 2, forcing the first Protect Shield. The Sandcastle still not done. Makes yet another Scorching Sand. The opponent now all shields down. Trojan sends out Bulbasaur. Last second we commit a shield, and what a shield. The opponent would have one-shot us with a Psychic. Out comes Zapdos. The opponent going to need to Brave Bird to take us out. They actually throw a close combat that doesn't knock out. It does lower their defense. We reach the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb does secure the knockout. Back out comes Aromaties, and Dugong Ice Shard farms down and takes that game. In the next battle, Dugong into Golbat. It's interesting that the opponent is staying in. They're at a potential Shadow Ball. The opponent full send the Shadow Ball, then look to catch a move onto Primeape. No such luck. We respond with Palossand. However, the opponent has access to both Ice Punch and Night Slash. What the heck? The opponent throw the resisted close combat. Definitely not the play. We take him out with the Scorching Sands. Back out comes Golbat, and Palossand goes straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball forces a Protect Shield. Back out comes Golbat. They're going to need to Shadow Ball to secure the knockout. Trojan commits an interesting Protect Shield. The opponent actually masturbated, as I think I'd just send back out Dugong and save my shields for Bulbasaur. But either way, with the help of a shield, Palossand absolutely popping off. We reach one final Shadow Ball, which does secure the knockout. The opponent then send out a Lowland Sandslash, and this is just going to be G to the G, as we've still got a pretty healthy Dugong with residual energy. We actually opt to shield up the Ice Punch. Looking to throw a Power Whip. I'm really not sure on this play whatsoever. Have we just found our own lose con? We've got a move bank, but we will lose CMP. Is Dugong in drill run range? We send out Palossand. The opponent spams the move, and that's going to seal their fate. Ice Punch takes us out. We reach the drill run, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Trojan, I'm going to be honest, buddy, that last battle gave me anxiety. So let's talk about Shadow Bulbasaur. I think Venusaur and Ivysaur are really good in this meta. Bulbasaur obviously good as well, but you don't need to spend 600,000 Stardust. I think the Grass Poisons, especially the Bulbasaur Evolution line, looking really good in this meta. This season saw a nerf to Sky Attack. Last season, the 3 top flyers were Skarmory, Noctowl and Alteria. They've all been nerfed, and they were things that the Bulbasaur Evolution line definitely didn't want to see. However, fast forward to this season, Aerial Ace has got a buff. And now the premier flyers in the Great League are Mantine, Pelipper, Gliscor and Gligar. All 4 of them take neutral from grass, which makes grass types in general really good. I'll tell you why I think Grass Poison's better, as Medicham is the top pick and is everywhere, so the sub-poison typing would help you resist that. Another flyer that is going to be more common is Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz usually operates on Snarl in the Great League, so another matchup where Venusaur etc. won't be too bad. Palossand actually surprised me. I thought it'd be terrible, but it's actually got respectable bulk, a really spammy moveset with good hard-hitting charge moves. Another Pokemon you can use to have some fun with. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.